Conclave is a thriller that tells the story of selecting the new pope. It is a fictional story, and you might be sitting here and saying, what are you talking about, thriller? That doesn't seem like what you typically make a thriller on, but I would say that this mostly delivers on it. Again, the kind of idea is that you have several people trying to be selected to be the new pope, and because of that, you get a lot of political intrigue of people arguing who should be what, and you learn more about these characters as the movie goes along, and part of it is people attempting to become the pope themselves. This is, of course, a religious movie. It stars an attempt to select a new pope, and in doing that, you are going to deal with certain religious themes. One of the themes that is dealt with is how do you select someone to be a pope in a world where every single person is inherently flawed. People are people, and people are going to have issues, and that's part of, I think, the intrigue of this movie. I think the writing of this is one of the strong suits of the film. It's based on a book by Robert Harris of the same name, Conclave. It is then it was adapted for screen by Peter Strahan, is maybe how you say his name. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. He's written a bunch of stuff I haven't really seen, but I think did a very good job at keeping this one fresh and entertaining. There were some real funny moments in this movie. This is not just a dull exercise. This was, I think, a movie that you look at the trailer and think that doesn't seem that fun, but it actually is. It's actually a pretty entertaining watch. So that's one of the strengths of the film. To me, the biggest strength of the film was just how it looked. This was directed by Edward Berger, who is probably best known for, All Quiet on the Western Front. Definitely best known for All Quiet on the Western Front, where he was nominated for screenplay. The film itself, I believe, won 4 Oscars that year, so was a major player at the awards. This is his first film since that movie, and I think this is probably going to get nominated for some stuff as well, specifically when it comes to the looks department. As I think a lot of choices for the shots were great, the cinematography was fantastic, and just the set design and the costumes, all of that really worked, and I think really made this feel like a real place that you could walk into, which is not so easy to do. So very well done. This is a movie that's gotten some, we have to talk about it. It's gotten some political controversies here. And really, this is a movie that you probably couldn't make without it getting some political controversies, right? It's gonna have that to some degree, but definitely something it does, which we'll talk about more in spoilers, is something that did rub a lot of people rubs certain people the wrong way, specifically certain Catholics the wrong way. I didn't really see it as that the way some other people did. So again, we'll get into it, but it's something I should mention before we get into spoilers, just so if you haven't seen it, that's something you can know going in. There is something like that. I do have to give, I guess this is probably a bit of a hot take here. I've heard people saying Ralph Fiennes, is not just going to get nominated for the Academy Award, but could end up winning it. I liked him fine in this movie. I liked all the acting fine in this movie. I was not blown away by it. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm, looking for too many screamy Oscar moments or something. I don't know. But I thought it was all passable. I thought it all worked. I didn't think it was like a bad acted performance or anything. I just think there's better performances. People, I think, pulled off more difficult things this year. So I don't really hate him getting nominated, I suppose. Although I'm not even sure if at the end of the year he will be in my top 5. That's just personally how I view it. Although again, I want to reiterate, I do think it was very good. Winning just doesn't feel like it for me personally. I wasn't as into it. That's just my opinion. You can feel free to disagree. Again, a lot of the fun of this movie, his character is very good, as he's the guy we follow throughout. He is just sort of trying to keep everything together. He's in charge of organizing the conclave essentially, so he's just trying to keep everything together throughout most of this. And I do think a lot of fun of this movie is how it unfolds and how it slowly gives you information throughout that I think is, it is entertaining. And I do think this is one that, if you still have a chance to see it in theaters, check it out. If not, maybe watch it on, watch it on streaming. Should you see Conclave? I would say so. I'm also not going to sit here and say it's one that blew me away or anything. Again, I think some people like the acting a little bit more. I think some people liked some of the dialogue and some of the humor and that stuff a little bit more. I enjoyed it. I wasn't like, I've heard a lot of people say they were like thoroughly entertained. I enjoyed it for what it was. I wasn't quite on that level. So for me, this is a 6 out of 10 movie for me. I enjoyed it. I would say, sure, check it out if it seems like your kind of thing. If you're particularly sensitive to maybe things, involving this subject matter, like, if it is sometimes, I don't even want to say fully depicting this in a negative light, but challenging some of the ideas of religion. This one might be one to sit out. But yeah, we'll get into spoilers, mostly just so I can talk about the ending. Before I do, though, I will mention I do have a Letterboxd. If you want to follow me on Letterboxd, you can check that out. Jackson Kruger is the name of it. But okay, yeah. Let's get into spoilers. Let's talk about the ending. We can go there. So 3, 2, 1. If you have been warned. I will now start spoiling the movie. So it is announced. I mentioned pretty much every character has some flaw, some issue, and that's kind of the topic of the movie. Is how do you decide who can be your leader, who can be your pope, if human is inherently flawed? Nobody is perfect. We have all sinned, so how do you decide that? At the end, it is revealed that a very nice man who has seemingly done no wrong, it is revealed that that person is actually intersex, meaning that they cannot you should be a pope, right? You need to be a man to be the pope. So if you're intersex, you're not a woman either. What does that make you? Again, just the topic of intersex has become so political, at least here in America, that like it becomes a whole other thing. But in terms of if you just solely look at it from the religious perspective, it means you are a creation of God, but also you don't fully fit into this system of Catholicism. And so what do you do with that? To me, the point of this was almost to say that there is no perfect man in the eyes of who can be a new pope. Even the person that they feels like a perfect man is actually not fully a man. To me, that's what it felt like it was making. I think that people obviously, again, get a bit too political with it. And again, feel free to disagree with me in the comments below. If the comments get too crazy, I will just disable comments, because sometimes, usually, in my experience, 95% of people are cool and can discuss this stuff. Then 5% lose their minds, and sometimes the 5% ruin it for the 95%. But hopefully we'll all be cool here. As a whole, again, I get that this is going to bother some people. I think it's not even afraid to do that necessarily, but I do think that you don't have to be bothered by this film, even if you are, someone who politically is, on the side that would be bothered by it. I don't think it's necessarily saying what some people are reading it to be. And that's just my reading of it. Again, people are going to have different readings. Movies have different, depending on who you are, you're going to view things differently. I really enjoyed the ending, though, because I read it the way I did. I just sort of viewed it as almost like shattering the glass that you thought you had just built. That's not an expression, but you get what I'm trying to say. I thought that was really, really a fascinating way to end a movie, in my opinion. So I enjoyed it. Again, not one I'm saying go out and rush and see, but yeah, sure, check it out. It's a good time at the movies. That's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.